Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Dice Tower Daily Chat. It's Monday, and happy to be here. I've got right off the bat, Gator Dave, Mike. I think the chat is going to expect a kitty update. Well, I'll be happy to give a kitty update in just a moment. First thing is, I don't know if everybody had a chance to watch the board game breakfast this morning that Tom talked about the daily chat. That this is the last week of the Dice Tower Daily Chat. So this is going to be, at least for the foreseeable future, as far as I'm aware, this is going to be my last time hosting it, and so it is lovely to be here, and I have enjoyed it. I haven't really kept track of how many of these I've done. I probably could have checked that before I came on, but I just didn't think about it. So I've done a number of them, and it was it's been fun. It's been kind of a part of the routine, so to speak. Now is that that once a week or so you've got these daily chats. So I know that there are other things in mind that are not going to necessarily replace the daily chat, but that are going to maybe fill some of the space that these have been taken. So just wanted to put that out there at the beginning. If you hadn't seen it, I kind of gave you the heads up on it. But if you look this morning, or if you look at this morning's breakfast, Tom talks a little bit about it there. So as far as kitties go, the kitties are doing very, very well. Pip and Raven are doing very well. These, for anyone that is not aware, these are two kittens that Tiffany and I, my wife, rescued. They were part of a litter that were born on the back porch of the Dice Tower studio. And so we rescued two of them, and they were feral, completely feral when we got them. And over the course of a few weeks, we've socialized them, and now it's at the point where they are absolutely running the show here. They pretty much have run of the house. They pretty much have adjusted how our schedule works as far as like making sure that they're fed and all of that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, I've got a picture. There's the kitties right there. There's Pip and Raven. And so yes, they're doing well, Gator. Thank you for asking. So if you have questions, if you have anything you'd like to chat about, please feel free to put it up there. This is really, really laid back. Obviously, I didn't have a guest on tonight. I just thought that I would just kind of chat with you all. And if you hear any spraying noises in the background, it's because my poor wife Tiffany is trying to deal with this little flying bug infestation that has just started, and so I've got a box light here, and if you see bugs just coming from the rear here, it's because they are attracted to the light. But I think Tiffany is taking care of them there. So Gary S says, I'm going to miss the daily chat. Yeah, like I said, I think that there are other things that are going to kind of come about, and probably not on a regular basis, not a nightly basis like the daily chat has been. But I know that Tom has some things in mind, things that are already kind of being talked about in the planning stages at least. So Fred Perro asks, Mike, any Gen Con online reveals make you giddy with excitement? It was, I don't want to come across as a downer here, because it's not really a downer thing, but honestly, not really. I appreciate what Gen Con Online was, and I thought that they did a good job. From what I saw, I didn't actually catch a lot of the footage, but from what I saw, I thought they did a good job. And I think it was a nice kind of, it certainly is not a replacement, right? It's not an actual convention. It's kind of what we're having to do at this point to at least fill some of that void. And so I thought it did good with that. But the biggest thing that I think that something like that is going to have trouble replicating is going to be that buzz of the new releases and the excitement of learning about things. Fantasy Flight did their in-flight report, and I quite honestly was a bit underwhelmed with that. I'm not a huge Marvel Champions fanboy. I know that that's a fanboy is not a good word because that makes it sound like people that like the game have a reason not to. It's a fine game, but it's not really a game I'm terribly excited about. Roy loves it. Tom loves it. Um, so nothing there really excited me. The X-Men reskin of Elder Sign might be good. I really like Elder Sign a lot. So who knows? Um, but that was kind of like the first big announcements was during that. Um, to some extent, and I don't mean this to come off. I hope it doesn't come off in a way I'm not intending it, but many of the things that were quote unquote reveals were things that I'd kind of heard about through working with the Dice Tower, and so there were not a lot of actual genuine surprises for Gen Con Online. But if you had stuff, if anybody in the chat was excited about some stuff that they learned about during the Gen Con Online, please let me know because A, I may not have noticed it, or B, I may be forgetting it. So um, I'll keep an eye out for that. Oh, okay. We can get started. All of that was the preamble. We actually hadn't officially started, but Nick is here now, and so we now are officially in the mix. So thank you, Nick. Um, Chris Hahn asks, "How's the weather?" So Chris, a buddy of mine from Indianapolis, um, you know, um, I'll put myself out there. I'm certainly never afraid to make myself look foolish. So we had been hearing about the coming of the potential hurricane or at least tropical storm Isaias. I'm pronouncing it horribly, I'm sure. Um, actually early to mid last week, we heard about it, knew that it was going to potentially be coming in this general region of South Florida. And so, being new to the area and not necessarily having much, if any, experience around hurricanes, I was asking people locally, mostly the Dice Tower people, kind of what I should be looking for. Is this something I need to have a lot of concern about? And everyone was kind of keeping an eye on it, but no one seemed to have any real tremendous concern. So Friday comes about, and Friday early, and I was looking at the National Weather Service, the National Hurricane Center. And to me, to my eyes, it looked like it was very, very likely that at the very least, there was going to be heavy rain, heavy winds. And because we're such a low-lying area, we're basically at sea level, we've already seen issues with flooding here. So even with just a regular heavy rain, nothing even torrential, we have issues where the parking lot of the condominium complex will flood. And so my thought was, okay, I'm going to really, right after I'm done working on Friday, I ran out and I got kind of like last minute stuff. I got water. I got, stuff that if I had to be holed up at home without power, I'd be good to go. I actually ordered on Amazon an emergency weather radio with a hand crank and solar panels, like a little one. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't go crazy, but I was gonna be prepared. And then nothing. Now, I don't say that lightly because I know that they're saying that now it could potentially turn into a category 1 for parts of the eastern seaboard far north of here. But we got almost no rain. My wife and I are sitting there over the weekend expecting that we were going to have to be holed up in the house, even thinking, okay, are we going to have to do the hurricane shutters and all that stuff? Nothing at all. So the weather is fine, Chris. Richard Enlow. Hey, Mike, where did you get such an impressive vocabulary? Thank you for saying so, first of all. I don't know exactly. I think that most of my family, I think, has a pretty solid vocabulary. And for me, I think it's just that, how for everybody, there's something that comes easily to you. For, some people it's math. And for me, I'm exactly the opposite. I really struggle with numbers. I struggle with a lot of the the kind of the mathematical reasoning that's to some people comes very easy. For me, it's like banging my head against a wall. But one thing that has always come easy to me is retaining words. Like I'll hear a word one time and I retain it. Or I'll hear a word that I've never heard before, and in context of what else is being said, I can kind of get a general idea of what that word means. And so that's just something that's always kind of come naturally and easy to me, which I think it's great. I like that. I kind of wish I was better with numbers than I am. I wish I was better with math than I am. But I have to be happy for any skills that or gifts that maybe I have been given. So thank you for the compliment. Widowmaker S, I watched Mike's solo playthrough of Paladins of the West Kingdom for the 18xx time today. So helpful. Thank you for that. You know, it's funny. That particular playthrough video is probably the one that I get the most comments from people contacting me or making comments online or recommending it for people that are asking about the game, whether it's a good solo game, if it's hard to learn. So many times people will recommend my video and tag me in it, so I see that, which is very much appreciated. Yeah, it's. I'm glad it's been a helpful video for a lot of people. It's a really, really, really solid game, and I love that people are playing it. And I absolutely love if the video I did, however long ago, has helped people feel more comfortable in playing the game. Because I think it could. It's a solo playthrough, but I think it would even help with the multiplayer game. It gets the systems of the game are generally the same. I'm very much looking forward to Viscounts. If I haven't mentioned that 300 or 400 times, I haven't played that yet, but I am very much looking forward to that. Beef says, thank you for doing the daily chats. I'll be sad when they're gone, but I appreciate all the entertainment and positivity you guys have provided. Thank you so much. This has been, I think Tom just really kind of tapped into something here early when he came up with this idea of the daily chat. Um, I remember the discussion, and it wasn't really as much of a discussion as it was Tom talking about, hey, I've got this idea for doing this. And right away I thought, man, that's a really good idea. And I think that the idea has come to fruition. DiLisio, have the kiddies discovered the joys of wrestling with the bottoms of the vertical blinds yet? The kiddies have discovered the joys of wrestling with everything. They absolutely have discovered the joys of going under the covers and getting at feet, which can be a little bit concerning. But yes, they are very active. They are everything that you would expect two 11-week or so old kittens to be. They are lovely. They are rambunctious. They play like crazy, and then they sleep like crazy, and then they eat, and then they play like crazy, and then they sleep, and repeat the cycle. Bonsoso21, since I'm a working stiff who's unable to watch daytime streams live, these gave me an opportunity to be a part of the community for a while. Yeah, and that's a really important point, that for many people, these daily chats were a way to kind of be a part of the live chat. And like I said, I don't want to get into specifics because I don't know that they've been fully fleshed out yet, but just know that there are real plans that are going to happen for same time, basically 9 p.m. Eastern time, that I think you're going to be very happy with. They're not going to be nightly because, without giving too much, because I'm going to let Tom do that, without giving too much away about what the plan seems to be, they're going to be more involved than the daily chat. And so I think that you'll still have a chance to be part of live chat community, Dice Tower community in the evenings. And I also know that for some people in other parts of the world, this time has allowed them to maybe be a part of them when they can't be for some of the others. So hopefully you'll still find yourself able to interact, because I know that that's something that Tom and everyone at the Dice Tower is hoping for. Mr. Dreadful asks, ever been a Descent fan? I have actually not played Descent. I, and it's weird because I'm friends with the Sadler brothers, Brady and Adam especially was a big part of the what had been the most recent edition of Descent. Now they're I don't know if this new Descent game is actually an iteration of that or a standalone. I don't know what that is, but I hadn't played it, and I also didn't play Imperial Assault, right? Star Wars Imperial Assault that was built off that system. Not because I don't have an interest. As a matter of fact, I had Imperial Assault for a while, just I couldn't get it played. And so I would certainly be interested to try it. I know I'm pretty sure it's in the Dice Tower library, so I'm sure I could play it. I've heard that you can play it with the app, or you play it without the app. So I'd certainly try it. And I know a lot of people are excited about what little we know, which is not much, about the new Descent, whatever it may be. Oh, Fred. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good point. This is something I'm very excited about. And I knew, really, I still kind of know nothing about. Fred Perro says, what about Chip Theory's games burn cycle? Yeah, yeah. I'm stoked about this. Because what little I've seen of it, first of all, Chip Theory has built some trust equity with me in that I'm going to pay attention to anything they do just based off of. I haven't played Hoplomachus, but just based off of Too Many Bones and Cloudspire. So they have my interest just based off of that track record. But when I saw the kind of the art and the aesthetic of what they've revealed so far, I really liked it. It had that kind of vibe of those almost Art Deco posters that I chatted about a bit with Ian O'Toole when he was a guest on the Daily Chat back when they first started. Um, I really thought they looked cool, and I'm getting. I have no idea if this is right, but I'm getting kind of like is it like a District 9 vibe with the robots and the humans and I don't know exactly what it's about, but I am, yeah, that's a good one, Fred. For that was one thing from Gen Con Online that I was excited about. So thank you for bringing that up. Nathan Bredfeld asks, is there a good consolidated source of Gen Con announcements? It's a really funny you mentioned this or ask this, Nathan, because I was asking the same question. I have not seen a consolidated source of Gen Con announcements yet. Now, there may be one out there, and there may be multiple out there. I just haven't seen them yet. If not, I'm imagining that there will be at some point soon, whether it's a BGG thread or a Reddit thread or any number of different outlets for it. But I have not, well, Gen Con Online would be a good place to put it up on their website, but I haven't seen it yet. So maybe I just haven't seen it, but that would be helpful. Jamie Wiley says, love your solo variant reviews. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. I'm constantly trying to get better at them. One thing that I'm working on, and I haven't gotten any feedback based on this, but just from my own sense, is that I'd like to make them a little tighter. I feel like this may come as a shock to some of you in the chat, but I feel like sometimes I'm a little bit, I tend to go on a little bit. Maybe I ramble a touch. And so in the solo variant reviews, I'd like to tighten them up a little bit, make them a little bit shorter, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there, I think. Rick Lacey says, hi from Hong Kong. Hello, Rick. Richard Enlow, Mike, when will your top ranked board game solo modes video come out? Well, I did one late last year. I did a top 40 solo games. I believe it was a top 40. I'll probably do another one towards the end of this year, would be my guess. I know that we're going to have, best of the year videos coming up. But I'll also probably look into doing another top solo games. I do get that requested quite a bit. So that's certainly something that I will consider doing. And obviously, if Tom wants to have it up there, that's going to be the ultimate deciding factor on that. But it's possible end of this year. Speaking of, I know we're only at the beginning of August, but although this year, 2020, has been a year that many of us have maybe not the fondest of emotions tied up in, and it's been a very difficult year for everybody, I'm sure. Um, I really do think that there have been some very, very good games released so far in 2020. Um, and I think this is going to be a really fun year to do a best of because already I can think of a number of games that will very likely make that list. And there's many that I haven't played yet that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward, like I said, to Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I'm very much looking forward to Sleeping Gods. I'm very much looking forward to Tidal Blades. So I've played some really good games this year, and there's some big games coming out. Oh, Dwellings of Eldervale. Really excited. I played an early version of that, and I really liked it. So I can't wait to play the finished product. So I think this is going to be a big year. My personal opinion is 2020 for gaming is going to be a very big year. A lot of people are saying it's dry where they are, and I'm happy to hear that. And I do hope that people on the Eastern Seaboard that it is like it was here, which is much ado about nothing, and that everyone is safe and don't get too much weather related stress to deal with. Keith Armstrong, are there any weather themed games? That's a good question. Actually, not only are there weather themed games, but there's one of my favorite hidden gems, right? You know, everyone talks about their hidden gem category or under the radar games. I always will talk about Petrichor, which is this really, really clever area control, a dual area control game, and you play as a cloud, and you move across this board made up of tiles, the size depending on the number of players. But you move this cloud, and you have raindrops in the cloud, and if the two clouds come together, they form a thundercloud, and you play weather cards, sun cards, frost cards, wind cards, rain cards. It's a really, really good game. If you have not heard of Petrichor, check it out. That's a really good weather themed game. So let me think. Is there anything else offhand that I can think of? There's the old, as Drewval would know this one. It's an old game that he's covered on the Retro Board Game. Typhoon, something Typhoon. It was a mass market game where it had this big kind of spinning component in the middle of the game. I can't remember what it was called, but that's a weather themed game, and I can't think of anything else offhand, but I'm sure there are many, many more that I'm just not thinking of. Nick Wagner, did you do any surfing when you lived in California? If so, have you tried any surfing in your area of Florida? I hear the waves get really nice before a hurricane. Yeah, I'm sure. I very little bit when I was younger in California. Never anything more than an absolute novice. If I was talking, and I don't know if I talked about it on an earlier daily chat or not, but it's something that I've definitely toyed with the idea of going and getting lessons to get myself somewhat, well, I say reacquainted, but I was never, like I said, I was always very, very much a novice when it came to surfing. I never would call myself a surfer, but I enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and I would like to do it. And I live in an area now where, potentially can, especially once things open up a bit more. Chris says Mike is being modest. It's that classical education that he received at IU that he's finally putting to use. Chris Hahn is a Purdue Boilermaker, and the less said about that, the better. Let's see. Chad S., I'm really glad you're now a part of the Dice Tower. I have very similar tastes in games as you, I'm happy to have a reviewer I can rely on. Thanks, man. Well, thank you. My goodness. If this is gonna be my last daily chat, I feel overwhelmed with the nice comments, and I appreciate it very much. TJ Jones, have you been in the middle of a solo game knowing that there is no way you can win and just pack it up for another day? That's a really interesting question. I don't want to just impulsively answer. I can't think of a time. If the question had just been, if the question had ended after the word win, then the answer would be very easy because I'm constantly in the middle of a solo game knowing that there's no way I can win. That's pretty much the norm. But I don't know that there have been times I've packed up a solo game before finishing it. But I don't think it's ever been because I knew I couldn't win. There have been times I've packed it up just because I ran out of time. I had other stuff to do. There have been times where I've packed up a game because the rule book was such a mess and I was trying to learn the game and I just got so frustrated with it that I was done with it. There have been times that I've ended a game in the middle because I realized I had really messed up a rule and I was like, you know what, this game doesn't even feel, whether I win or lose, I don't feel like it's going to be a valid result because I was playing something so wrong. So I don't remember a time, TJ. It's possible, but I can't think of one offhand. Ian O'Toole, morning, Mike. Morning, Ian. I was just talking about you a moment ago when we're talking about the Art Deco style posters. If I'm getting that right, and I'm going to feel bad if I'm getting it wrong, but it's possible. Oh, what did I just do? I just moved. Did I move my? I did somehow. I moved the daily chat overlay. Who knows what I'm doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, we'll leave it there. It's the last one. Look, there's going to be bugs in the system. Okay. Jordan, I'm really going to miss the Z-shaped table the most. Look, you got to let it go. Jordan, you've got to let this go. This Z-shaped table obsession that you have is, it's, oof. Nathan, Mike, you were great during the 8-minute Empire stream. Have you considered doing an episode of What's Happening? It's interesting. Well, thank you, first of all, again, for the compliment. I would certainly do an episode of What's Happening. I hadn't even really considered it, but I would certainly do an episode of it. I'm sure it would be fun. I keep trying to. Now I'm bothered by the overlay being off, and I'm trying to fix it. Oh, did I fix it there? Kind of, sort of. Here we go. The problem is the button I need to make it larger is right over the button that says finish, which would end the stream. So I really don't want to do that, but I do want this because I'm going to be bothered by it. You know what? I don't think anybody cares other than me at this point, but okay, I'm going to leave it alone. I would certainly do an episode of What's Happening. I just haven't yet. That's a good question. Maybe I'll talk to Tom about it. Why not? Trying to see here. Nathan, is there anyone you'd like to play a game with but never have? What game would you like to play with us? Oh, wow. There's a lot of people that I'd love to play a game with and never have. There's a lot of people that I haven't met yet and I never have. And that would probably be the same group of people, generally speaking. Yeah, and I hesitate to start naming names because I'm going to forget people, and that would make me feel bad. But there's so many people. There's a lot of people in this chat that I'm hoping that when conventions come back around again, that we can meet and play a game, even just chat whether we play a game or not. I definitely look forward to that. It's one thing I will say is that while there's so much negative about the lockdown and everything that's been happening, the quarantining, so many negative emotions, I do feel that the sense of community has really grown. And this might just be me, but I feel much more kind of connected to the Dice Tower quote unquote community. And I shouldn't say quote unquote, because that's exactly what it is. It's a Dice Tower community because we've been doing so much more live streaming and we've been interacting with people so much more during these chats and during other live events that we've been doing, that it really creates this stronger sense of connection. Whereas in the past, oftentimes the best chance you had to interact with people that were fans of the channel were at conventions, or maybe if they messaged you on YouTube or something like that. But this is a much more direct form of communication and interaction, and that's been something that I feel like has really strengthened and grown over these few past 6 months or so. And so to answer your question is there's a lot. And what game would you like to play? Whatever the person I'm with wants to play. I'm even if it's a game that I don't necessarily have an interest in, that doesn't matter. I'm going to be happy to play with people that I'm interested in playing with and talking to and interacting with. I got a downvote. I don't know what I said that's upset somebody, but I apologize. Dustin, what game got you into the hobby of board gaming? I'm that cliche, Dustin. Catan. Catan got me into modern hobby board gaming, and it's just kept going. But for so many people, that's the game. Usually, you hear Catan, you hear Ticket to Ride. Sometimes you'll hear Pandemic. Sometimes you'll hear Munchkin. Sometimes you'll hear, oftentimes you Magic. Oftentimes is a kind of an entryway into board gaming. But for me, it was Catan. Gator Dave, I'm really looking forward to Tekkenu. Tekkenu is fantastic, Gator. It's really good. I don't think Tom does. I think Tom prefers Teotihuacan to Tekkenu, but I think I prefer Tekkenu to Teotihuacan, even though I like that quite a bit too. And it's been long enough that I've played Zolkin that I would need to play it again to kind of put it in that ranking, so to speak. But Tekkenu is fantastic, really, really good. And I'll be interested to hear what you think. Joseph Fleming, Stefan Feld, Queen Games upcoming. I'm assuming, Joseph, that's what you're excited about, the thing that you've been hearing about, that you're excited about. Yeah, it's intriguing, this kind of city collection, where it looks like so far they've been announcing, I think, Hamburg and I can't remember the other one, but so far I know that there's, one of them is basically redoing Bruges, and I can't remember what the other one was off the top of my head. But yeah, a lot of people are very excited about that. I'm a hit and miss with Feld games. I liked Trajan. I do like Trajan. I like Castles of Burgundy. I have significant issues with the the production, both productions of it. I like Luna a fair amount. I like what am I missing? Oh, I even liked Amerigo. It's okay. It's not great. But I absolutely did not like Merlin. I didn't like it at all. And what else? Oh, I haven't played Aquasphere, so he has a lot of games. Daryl Shannon, hello from Canada. Hello. I recall that Z liked Deep Space D6. What are your thoughts on Deep Space D6? So, for those who don't know, Deep Space D6 is a solo-only dice game, and it's a relatively small box game. If I remember correctly, it began as a print and play on BGG. I think it was originally years ago part of and you may hear some noise, that is Pip playing with a cat toy under the table. I believe years ago it was part of a print and play contest on BGG, and I think it may have won or at least was in the finals. And then it eventually got professionally printed. It's a solid game. It's one I have not played for a while. I think that I might have burned myself out on it a little bit. But it's a really clever game, and if you are looking for a solo-only game, small box, plays relatively quickly, but with a really decent challenge, Deep Space D6 is definitely one to keep an eye for. Ian O'Toole asks, Mike, last week I got yet another email asking if I was really working on a new Glory to Rome, average one a month. I believe what Ian is referring to is perhaps when he was a guest on the Sporadically Bored podcast that I do with Dan Hughes. and we had asked Ian what would be the game if you could redo the art for a game. What would it be? And he said Glory to Rome. And so then I think we basically took that ball and ran with it and started spreading these outrageous rumors that that Ian was going to be doing a renewed version of Glory to Rome. But I will say, man, if you did, well, you said this publicly, Ian, so I think I'm okay. Say, I believe that Ian has actually already kind of done sketches for himself, but it has not, obviously, not something that's coming officially down the pike. But sorry, Ian, that you get the spam emails. Yeah, okay, yeah. He says here a joke on my and Dan podcast. Jamie, you may be right. Maybe it's Bermuda Triangle as a game, that weather-related game I was thinking about with the spinning component in the middle there. So yes, I'm pretty sure that's the one. Who's your favorite character in Funkoverse? Well, it's Frosky. Hi, Frosky. It depends on what you mean by favorite. My favorite character is the Kool-Aid Man because it's Kool-Aid Man, and that's fantastic. I don't know if Kool-Aid Man is the best character. Believe it or not, I think some of the strongest characters in Funkoverse are the Golden Girls. Those are really, really good, strong characters. And I haven't played with Doc Brown yet, but I know Tom is all over that. He loves the Doc Brown character from Back to the Future, and so I need to try that one. It does something really interesting with the cooldown track where I think you flip it or invert it, and so I am definitely looking forward to trying that out when I can. But it's Kool-Aid Man. It's my favorite. Joseph says, last daily chat, you may have come in late. It's my last daily chat. They're ending at the end of this week. If you look at Board Game Breakfast this morning, Tom talks about it there. Let's take a look. Chad S., have you ever taken a stab at designing a game? I think I may have mentioned this on a recent chat. So are you going to come say hi, Raven? Come here. Raven may come for a second. We'll see. If you see the screen bump, she's rubbing against it. I talked about it, but I tried making a little small dice game about putting cubes of sugar in coffee or tea, but it never got past like very, very rough prototyping. Gator Davis, he's complimenting me on my font color choices. Thank you. Wow, thank you, Pamela. She likes Mike so much she's watching on TV and iPad, and then Nathan comes in and says, I have a great face for TV. I've heard that I have a great face for radio. I hadn't heard the TV one, so that's very, very nice. Goofy Spielt, Mike, have you tried the now available solo version of Stone Age? I have not. I didn't know that they did that. I know a lot of publishers have been putting solo versions of games. I know they came out with an official one for Carcassonne and Arcadia Quest, and but I hadn't heard they did one for Stone Age. It makes sense, it's a worker placement game. Those are usually very easy to turn into a solo game. Okay, there's very, very real kitten danger around here. Raven has already like 2 or 3 times on my wife's laptop turned on the music inadvertently. So I really hope that I'm just concerned she's gonna come over here and end the chat. So I have not tried it, Goofy. Sorry. We game together in the house. Hey, Ellen or Randy or both. What's up? Oh, it's Ellen. She confirmed. James Brazil asks, have you got to play any virtual games with Dan Hughes? So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is it was only one, and I played with Dan and Luke Pryor, who is now doing work with the Dice Tower. He's editing the Dice Tower newsletter, and he's been a guest of Z's on it, one, maybe two daily chats. So you may have interacted with Luke a bit there. We played a game of Lords of Waterdeep, and it was really because we were just trying to get comfortable with Tabletop Simulator. This was pretty early on in the lockdown, and I've become much more comfortable, even though I don't really still like Tabletop Simulator. I've become much more comfortable with it. But that's the only one we've played virtually. I don't know that either Dan or I particularly love virtual gaming. I've had some good experience. I will tell you that Nemesis live play we did, that I legitimately enjoyed. I had a really good time there. But part of that was because the Awakened Realms rep was running so much of the administrative stuff, and we could just focus on playing the game and interacting. And part of the issue that I have with Tabletop Simulator, and I'm sure it's the same with Tabletopia, is that you're so focused on manipulating stuff and figuring out what to click and your hotkeys, and that you lose the immersion in the game because you're getting so caught up with what you're doing physically with the keyboard and mouse. So we have not played other than that one. I'm not saying we wouldn't play another one, but we haven't beyond that one game of Lords of Waterdeep, which I don't even think we played a full game. Gary S. is kind of getting, continuing on with this. What do you think is the future of virtual gaming? Will it ever threaten the physical board gaming industry because it is so much less expensive? This is obviously just my opinion. My opinion is absolutely not. I don't think there's any way it's going to threaten the physical board game industry. I realize that cost can be a very real barrier for this hobby. It's something that you have to have some disposable income usually, or at least it makes it much easier if you have disposable income to be heavily involved in the hobby. There are other ways to be involved in board gaming without necessarily buying games, but it is much more challenging and takes more effort to do so. So I don't discount that point you're making, that the cost is a significant barrier, but I just feel like and I don't want to go on too much on this, but I also want to make sure that I'm not demonizing virtual gaming. I'm not demonizing apps and board gaming. None of that. That's all fine. That's great. Some people, will prefer that. But I feel like most of the draw of board gaming is, that physical experience of manipulating components. And that's why I think it still holds for solo gaming. It's, a huge part of board gaming oftentimes is interaction with other people. And of course, I don't discount that. And you can still get that with virtual gaming. But there's something about the sensual nature of board gaming. And I mean that in the real sense of the word, of touching the components, seeing the components, physically manipulating pieces on a table, that I just feel like can't be reproduced. And that's why I really don't think that, I don't think that's going to really threaten it. Frosky says, have you gotten to try Cobble and Fog yet? If so, thoughts? I have. I played Cobble and Fog. I played Invisible Man. I played against Dracula, and I really enjoyed it. It was the Invisible Man and Dracula both were very cool characters. Those are the only two I've played with out of that set so far. Now, I do feel that perhaps Dracula has some very, I don't want to say overpowered, I'll leave that for other people to say. I feel like Dracula has some very powerful cards in his deck, and it's not only because I was wrecked by Roy, who snuck up with this stupid 45-point damage card or whatever it was. I was doing very well. I was throwing the fog down. I was elusive. You didn't know where I was. I could be here, I could be there, coming out of the fog, doing my fog thing, doing my Invisible Man thing. I was doing really well. And then Roy does something. I don't even remember what it was. It was basically the You Lose card, I think is what it was called. But joking aside, it was really good. I still really like Unmatched. That's a great set. Mm-hmm. Teotihuacan makes Ellen cry. It only makes me cry when I have to spell it. It's hard. It's hard to. I'm not good at it. I mean, but I've said this many times. If being good at a game was a prerequisite for me enjoying it, I wouldn't be in the hobby because I am horrible. Will Chan, do you work on Dice Tower full time or do you have another job? As of November, I am a full time Dice Tower employee. I'm down here in Homestead, Florida, with the rest of kind of the core group of the Dice Tower. I had been a high school teacher for 20 years and retired from teaching. Well, left teaching and moved here, and I work full time as a video editor and content creator, and happy to be doing it, and happy to be working with wonderful people and interacting with lovely people like all of you. Ian O'Toole says Forum Trajanum is a great Feld game. You know, that's one I need to try. And that one actually does appeal to me because it does give me a little bit of a Trajan vibe, not just theme-wise, but and it may have nothing to do with it, but just kind of I don't know, there's just something about it that looked a little more appealing to me than some of the other Feld games. Kama asks, Mike, what's your favorite Uwe Rosenberg game? I've been working through them during the pandemic and was surprised how much I loved Loyang. I like At the Gates of Loyang quite a bit. It's not my favorite. It's probably Feast for Odin. That probably is my favorite Uwe game, big box game. I think you almost have to put them in different categories. I think you've got the smaller Uwe games and you've got the large big box games. So I do like... I like Indian Summer. I like that, for the smaller games, the part of that, Tetramino trilogy. And but I really think Feast for Odin is probably my favorite Uwe Rosenberg game. I like Newsfjord quite a bit. I like Agricola, but I don't play it much anymore. I'm not a. I need to play Le Havre again because it's so well esteemed, not just by Tom but by a lot of people. It didn't really do much for me the first time I played it, but I think I've only played it twice, and it's been years, so I probably need to play that again. Thanks again for all of the very nice comments people keep saying here in the chat. Chad S., I've done some research but haven't been able to find your opinions on Star Wars Outer Rim. What are your thoughts? The reason why you have not been able to find my opinions is because I don't have any. It's because I haven't played it. And I have no good excuse. I like Star Wars. I've heard nothing but good things about Outer Rim. We have a copy of it in the library. I just have not gotten that one to the table. It's something I really need to do. I need to just go get it out of the library and learn it and play it, because that's a game that I feel like I really didn't expect it to have it's still a new game, don't get me wrong, but it seems like the esteem for that game, the appreciation for that game has only increased, and that's usually the exact opposite. A game will come out, it'll be super hot, everybody will be talking about it, and then 2 months later, everyone's forgotten it. Outer Rim seems to be the exact opposite. It really didn't have a huge splash, in my opinion, when it first came out. Certainly, it didn't have as much of a splash as something like Star Wars Rebellion did. But it seems like that has gotten more and more popular as time has gone on. And there have been so many people that are calling for expansions for it. A lot of people I know were disappointed when there was no discussion of more content for it during the in-flight report. Stone Age discussions, Stinky Cup discussions. Look, at this point, I almost feel like I'm unqualified to discuss the Stinky Cup in Stone Age, because now Mick from Our Family Plays Games, he's thrown down the Stinky Cup gauntlet, and nobody can pick that up. It's like Excalibur, right? I mean, no one can talk Stinky Cup like Mick can talk Stinky Cup. So I'm going to leave all of that to him. Ian says, wait till Dan hears you said board games are sensual. Yeah. You're right. That was. Hopefully, he never hears about it because that will not go well. Uh, Oh, Ian, you bring a good point. He says, in fairness, the Invisible Man's main weapon is fog, something which Dracula can literally turn into and control. I hadn't considered that. I just thought the whole time that it was Roy cheating. But apparently, you had the idea altogether. It was because Dracula can control the fog. Uh, is there kitten issues over there? Velcro. They love Oh, the kitties are, they've gotten a hold of Velcro. Um, Bonsoso 21, did you share your love of gaming with any of your students over the years? And have any of them seen you on the Dice Tower and reached out? So, um, yes, they all of my students knew that I was a huge fan of board gaming. I had like Keyforge posters up on the wall stuff. Even though I'm not a huge Keyforge fan, but they were great posters. They were really colorful and made really nice visual impact in the class. So they all knew that. They also all knew that. They didn't know the Dice Tower stuff as much because most of them weren't really into board games. But what they did know was that I had my own YouTube channel that I was doing for solo playthroughs. I was doing that in addition to working with Dice Tower on Board Game Breakfast. And they they were more excited about my YouTube channel in some ways than I was because every time I would hit some milestone, first of all, they would always know when I hit a subscriber milestone before I would. And they'd say, hey, Mr. D, you hit 1,000 subscribers today. And I'm like, oh, really? And I had no idea. When I hit, I can't remember if it was when I hit 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, some of my students got me a big chocolate chip cookie cake that's congratulated me, which was super sweet. In all the years of teaching, but I do want to say this, in all my years of teaching, I never got a cookie cake saying thank you for being such a great teacher. I did get a cookie cake saying congratulations on hitting 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that shows you what is important to teenagers. They really, really are very, very much interested in YouTube numbers, and so they absolutely were aware of it. I've had a few students comment on videos, and thankfully none of them have been inappropriate that I've seen, because that's always a concern. Earthfat coming with one of these classic questions. When's the last time you've seen someone dunk a donut into coffee? I have no idea. I mean, you see it in movies, you see it on TV, but I don't know. I'm sure I've seen someone dunk a donut into coffee. I can tell you it wouldn't be me. I'm not dunking a donut into coffee. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because obviously that's where Dunkin' Donuts got its name, right? So a lot of people do it, but no, my coffee is just coffee and some almond creamer, and that's all I need. I don't dunk things into my coffee. I'm also, and I know this is going to be very controversial, but I'm also not a dunk cookies and milk guy either. I don't do it. First of all, I don't drink milk. I don't like the taste of drinking milk. But even that being said, I don't dip cookies into milk. Sorry. I know I'm the weirdo on that one. Mark Walker, have you played Vast Mysterious Manor? It seems like it just vanished after the Kickstarter. I haven't. I've played the first Vast a number of times, and I liked it. And I have the Mysterious Manor, actually. I have not played it yet. That's one that it's one I know I'll get to, because I have enough of a background with Vast that it shouldn't take me too long to figure out the little nuances and differences between the two. But yeah, I think, Mark, you bring up a point that it hasn't gotten as much buzz, and I have a theory as to why. And it's just a theory, so it could be completely off base. But my guess is that Root stole a lot of the Vast thunder, fair or not. I think that Root is the game. It's now kind of the asymmetric game, and being that, it's coming from Leader Games as well. I think that that's been the thing, is that, you've got this juggernaut of Root, and it's just such a good game. that's a game that just my estimation grows and grows and grows. That one, it's it's already in my top 20 games, and it's gonna continue to rise. I just every new expansion that comes out, every new faction that I play, um, I just really adore Root, and I think I have a sneaking suspicion that that's part of what has happened to the buzz around Vast. Yeah, we need a kitty sighting. If Raven was closer or Pip, I would have shown him, but um, Luke Anzelotti, what are your thoughts on the new Dice Throne expansion and season one rerolled? It's a good question because I really want to check it out. I haven't. I've played Dice Throne season one. I've played. I can't remember how many of the characters I've played. Probably 4 or 5 of them. And I've played season two again, maybe 2 or 3 characters there. But I have not played any of the new stuff. I haven't played Adventures. And I haven't played season one rerolled. I'd be very interested to. That's a game I really like. It's that kind of fills a similar niche to King of Tokyo to me. But my personal opinion, I would rather play Dice Throne than King of Tokyo. I know that that's not everyone feels that same way, but if for a game like that, I would prefer Dice Throne even over King of Tokyo. Mithun. Oh, I feel bad because I don't have one right off. What's your go-to solo game? Well, I think okay, your go-to solo game when you don't want to spend time on setup and teardown. There's probably a couple. Coffee Roaster is a good one. That's super quick to play. Um, I'm looking around to see if there's something that I'm not thinking of right off the top of my head. That's the first one that comes to mind. Some of the Valeria games, the small box Valeria games, are games that I go to because those are really quick. Shipwrights of the North Sea is a game that I can set up and play pretty quickly. So those are some that just come to mind off the top of my head. Do you dunk your donuts into yogurt? No, don't. I also, according to my wife, don't eat yogurt. She's kind of right. Honestly, I very rarely eat yogurt. Uh, Gator Dave says, I can see Nick dunking his hoagie into a cup of Joe. And then Goofy Spielt says, what's a hoagie? A hoagie is a sandwich, like a large, long sandwich. There's a lot of names for them here in the States. Sometimes and it's regional. Hoagies, I think, are primarily maybe New York, maybe Philadelphia. They're also called subs or submarine sandwiches. They're called grinders in some parts of the country. I'm not sure what the equivalent would be in Europe or the UK. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's a sandwich. It's just a long sandwich. So usually it could be cold sandwich, could be a hot sandwich, doesn't matter. Cheesesteak sandwich, as Nick shouts in the chat. T Savvy Studies, if it hasn't been asked already, and it had not, what do you think of the HeroQuest Legacies trademark being filed? I find it intriguing, Savvy. I'll use that word. Intriguing. Has my attention. You know, Restoration Games filing the trademark doesn't necessarily mean that it's happening, but it's certainly something that at least makes you think, right? Obviously, they're working on it. They're trying to make it happen. Have they already signed a contract? Do they already have development work going? None of that I know, and I doubt very highly anybody outside of Restoration Games knows that. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I if I've played HeroQuest, it's so long ago that I can't remember exactly. Mr. Dreadful says, I'm a Leader Games fan, so I picked it up. Excited for Fort to finally arrive. That makes 2 of us. I've pre-ordered Fort, and I'm looking forward to that. And hoping it's as good as it looks. I know it's a re-implementation of an older, not really old, actually like a year or so, but a small print run game, I think called SPQR. I think it was based in the Roman Empire. But I think Leader has kind of done some development work, maybe shaved off some rough edges. I'm very much looking forward to it. Nathan, have you played Raiders of Scythia? Yes, I have. And I've done a solo review on the Dice Tower, and it got a seal of excellence. I absolutely love it. No shock, right? I mean, it's basically a an iteration of Raiders of the North Sea, which I adore. Now, I'll give you the short version. Raiders of Scythia as just the base game, I prefer to Raiders of the North Sea. However, taken in total with the two expansions, I would prefer Raiders with those expansions. But if I'm going to play just a base game, or I'm going to introduce somebody, I will probably, unless they really like the theme and the art of Raiders better, Raiders of the North Sea better, I would go with Scythia because it adds a couple of things from the expansions that I think make the game really, really good. Raiders of Scythia is fantastic. Highly recommend that. All right, let's see if we've got one or two more things before we head out. Tommy Miller, thoughts on Santorini, New York? Okay. I mean, besides the obvious humor here, which, look, Carcassonne, Amazonas did something similar where basically Santorini is a place, New York is a place, two different places on other sides of the world. But joking aside about the name, I'm very much interested. I'm very intrigued tonight. Have you noticed? That's twice I've been intrigued. Yeah, I like Santorini. I've played it with my youngest son a number of times. He really likes it. Yeah, it looks good. I don't know how it's going to be any different from Santorini. It looks similar where it's, three-dimensional and you've got levels and I'm assuming you're going to have some type of player powers. I'm open-minded about it. I hope it's good. Very much interested. Okay, let's end with this one. Nathan Bredfeld, did you enjoy your Marvel United playthrough? Yes, very much. Now, first of all, I enjoyed the live play that Tom and Roy and I did. That was a lot of fun. We played 2 games back to back. If you're interested, you can check that out on the channel as well. Even though I think we may have messed up a couple of little pretty minor things like a play order thing, which really doesn't matter. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I have since played it a number of times solo, and I've really enjoyed that too. It's a game that, man, that's a quick one. You were talking about quick to set up and play. That one doesn't take long to set up and play for a solo game. It's very, very fast solo and multiplayer. I am very much looking forward to all of the kind of the new stuff when it comes to the second wave shipping. Comes with all of the expansion stuff and the extra factions and the Infinity Gauntlet and all of those characters. I'm really, really looking forward to it. The core game was enough of a proof of concept, so to speak, that I'm very much looking forward to what the rest of the Kickstarter will eventually bring in 2021. All right, well, I'd love to stay longer, but I'm going to get headed. It's been lovely. I have really, really enjoyed these daily chats, and everyone has been very, very kind in the chat throughout, and I do appreciate that. And I know all of us at the Dice Tower have really, really appreciated all of the support that we've gotten through these daily chats, all of the fantastic interaction that we get. We see, even if you can only make it to 1 or 2 of these, you're appreciated. But it's amazing every night you look at some of these chats and you have people that are there almost every night. And it really means a lot to all of us. And we so much appreciate your support. And you're a big part of this. These don't work without the people in the chat. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a lovely evening. Keep watching. We've got the rest of the week to come. And I know that they're all as appreciative of your support as I am. So that being said, good night, everybody, and take care. Why is my outro not playing? my outro's not working. So I'm just going to say good night. Good night, everybody.